Welcome to the Real Estate Marathon Podcast, your guide in the race to financial freedom through real estate investing and sound financial practices. This podcast is for anyone interested in learning more about real estate investing, personal finances, and a new take on traditional retirement. Now, here are your hosts, Larry Fierro and Mike Moe.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Mike Moe from the Real Estate Marathon Podcast. This is your Monday morning motivation edition, where we like to follow up on our call to actions from our previous episodes and give you a quick primer for this episode coming up later this week. Here today with my partner in crime, Larry Fierro. What's going on, man?
Mike, there's a lot of good stuff going on, my friend. It's been a great week this week. Just trying to make everything happen for the podcast and our real estate investing careers, and trying to stay out of the cold a little bit here in New York. How's it going in Minnesota?
It's pretty chilly, man. It's pretty chilly. That's
very
for sure.
Cold.
Yeah. Getting into the middle of November here, so. I guess that's what you get for living in the northern side, huh?
Oh, yeah. This wintertime, we expect it every year. It comes and we're still angry about it, but it's here and we got to deal with it.
Unfortunately for now. So, all right, man, let's take a quick 30 seconds to talk about why we're here. We started to release a Monday morning motivation edition of this podcast because it's super important to make sure that, and we're not only just setting our goals, but we're following up on them, right? There was a Harvard business study a while ago that talked about goals, that looked at goal setting and looked at what people were successful and why certain people weren't. And what they took out three main things from that study. And one of the top three things was follow up, right? A lot of people set goals and then never have a plan to follow up with them, right? So this is our chance to talk about the goal that we set on our last episode and follow up with it. This is kind of that plan, right? So the call to action that we talked about last time, we're going to follow up on this episode. And really, it's just another step in the marathon, right? Because Larry, how do you run a marathon?
One step at a time, my friend. One step at a time.
One step at a time. Exactly. Yep. It's small changes over the long period of time that really look to make massive change, right? And you can't do it all at once. You got to do it one step at a time. So that's what we're here to do today. So call to action from the last episode, man. What was it?
It was look for networking opportunities. You really got to find these networking opportunities, meetups, Facebook groups, just any kind of group that you get to talk about real estate and tell everybody exactly what you do in your investing career.
Yeah, absolutely. These are unbelievably important, especially in real estate. It's a team game. It's a team sport, right? You don't get anywhere trying to do everything on your own and trying to handle every part of the business. A lot of these people in these meetups are going to be future property managers that you might work with. They're agents that you might have deals for you. They might be handyman or contractors who also own rental properties. So there's a ton of people in these meetups that you could benefit and could have a really good relationship with in the future, that you just don't know until you get there, right? So whether it be in person, online, in your local market or in a market across the country that you're investing in, just get out there, start networking, and get with the people that you're going to be building this thing with going forward.
Yeah, you never know when you go to one of these groups or you get into the Facebook groups, who you're going to meet that's going to change your life. I mean, one of the examples that I like to use, Mike, is that you and I met with the Wheelbarrow Profits community. They put us in the same mastermind group, and we hit it off and decided that we wanted to help as many people as we could achieve the same financial independence that we've been working so hard to reach. And we started this podcast, and it's been pretty much serendipity ever since.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You're right on the head. You and I met through this group of investors, like-minded investors, and we're put into a group of 5 or 6 for an accountability pod, which, again, going back to the accountability side of things, we're there to talk about goals and following up on the actions to hit those goals. And you and I met and realized we both had a common goal of the education side. And here we are a couple months later starting doing this podcast.
Yeah. And you really have to, the accountability pod really works because nobody wants to show up to those every other week phone calls and say that they didn't achieve what they were looking to achieve the week before. So That really gives you something to work towards.
Yep, absolutely. So if you haven't done it yet, if you've listened to the last episode and you haven't found that networking opportunity or that meetup that you want to go to, pause the episode right now, get on Google, get on meetup.com, get on the app, get on Facebook, and find a local meetup in your area. Find a local investor group in your area or in your target market and and subscribe or register for the next event. A lot of these are free. You just got to say you're going. So put in your calendar. Make sure you got your seat locked for the next event, and then hit play again, and we'll talk some more.
Absolutely. And you have to do it before next week. That's one of the goals that we have to really kind of insist that you do. You've got to meet at least one other investor this week, be it through Facebook or a meetup. Just connect. Go to the Real Estate Marathon Facebook page. There's people on there that you can connect with. Just introduce yourself and say hi, and people will start talking to you. It's a very supportive group of people, real estate investors.
Yeah, I mean, people, I'm not going to lie, I'm starting out this a handful of years ago, I was shocked at how welcoming and how just willing to talk and willing to help out. Every meetup in every market that I went to, there was nobody that was, cold or rude. Everybody was super welcoming and more than willing to help out newbie investors. So it's really great community.
Yeah, one thing you're never going to find is a real estate investor who doesn't want to talk real estate. Never going to find that.
Yep. All right, man. So we got the call to action follow-up from the previous episode, and now let's do a quick primer for the upcoming episode, which is submarkets, right? So we talked about the markets on the last one. We're talking about submarkets on the upcoming episode, which is really just diving a little bit deeper, getting a little bit granular on the market, the neighborhoods that you might be investing in, because the market's huge. In the submarket, you're going to focus a little bit more on where you might want to purchase your first property or second property, or hopefully 20th property. But really, if you haven't started to analyze markets or submarkets, what I want you guys to do is think about your own local market, or think about the market that you know best, and start to try to chop up these submarkets and try to think about what makes a submarket and how you would benefit to analyze these submarkets, looking at a market that maybe you've never been to. You start with what you know. It might make it easier looking at what you don't know, which is maybe a new market or a new submarket. So start with your local market or one you're most familiar with, and start trying to think of what the certain submarkets are in there and what make them tick and what would make them a good investment or a bad investment from out of what we talked about in the previous episode.
Yeah, and you can get out there and practice in your local market as well. I mean, even if you're not investing there, you can always say, well, I wouldn't invest here, but I would invest here, and then kind of look at the factors. And we'll cover it more in depth on Thursday's podcast episode with the submarkets, but you're going to be looking ahead, trying to get your brain thinking in that direction. So when we give you the information on Thursday, you'll kind of already be thinking in that direction. So it'll be a seamless transition into episode 9.
Absolutely. Yep. All right, man. Anything else?
No, I think that's good. You guys just keep taking daily positive steps towards your goals, and I think you'll be all right.
One step at a time, right?
That's it. One step at a time.
All right, man.
Well,
all right, guys. So this is Mike Mofa and Larry Fierro from the Real Estate Marathon Podcast, your Monday morning motivation edition. See you next time.
Take care.
See ya.
Thanks for listening to the Real Estate Marathon Podcast. If you found value in any of the content from this show, consider supporting us in the following ways. Subscribe to the Real Estate Marathon Podcast. Leave a rating and review. Continue the conversation with like-minded individuals on social media by heading over to the Real Estate Marathon Podcast Facebook group, or follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Real Estate Marathon Podcast.